The Beef and Barnzy Show, brought to you by Bowlersmart.com, trusted by bowlers around the world since 2004. By Lightning Strikes Bowl, home of Bowlers Mart Pro Shop. By Platinum Ford, drive the difference. By Fire Lake Bowling Center, 24 state-of-the-art lanes. By True Grit Coatings, drive on our passion. By Roll to Grip, king of them all. By 900 Global, striking worldwide.
Good morning and welcome back to the Beef and Barnzy Show, and we are back at our usual locales in Tejas. It's nice to be back in great weather. That's about all I can say about it.
To be fair, the last week in Wisconsin was pretty nice.
Yeah, well, you just didn't stay long enough.
Well, I did drive through a tornado, so
yeah. No, I drove through. It looked like Star Wars. I got to drive through Star Wars. It was the gigantic snowflakes coming down when I was leaving up there. So, gosh, well, the title does kind of say it all. There was the tensions were running a little warm up north.
Certainly warmer for one of members of Beef and Barnzy than the other.
Yeah, maybe.
Mr. Wynn, thank you very much. He says, morning, Beef and Barnzy. I just want to say I love the recaps and the ins and outs, as well as your experiences during the tournaments. Well, thanks for the super chat. We appreciate you. So, yeah, we were in Milwaukee. One thing I will say before we start off any of this, I felt like they'd made a lot of progress from the previous year when we were there.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff had been cleaned up. But it's still an old bowling center and it's still a PBA tournament, and there was a lot of stress on the
this time of year
on everything.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot, and points are important, and there's uncertainty because we don't really know what number we need to get to, and that creates some issues. Is it top 50? Is it top 40? Is it top 32? Is it top whatever? Is it going to be any? And there was a lot of money involved with the World Series of Bowling, but it's not easy to get to. And so kind of not quite a last chance because there's one more tournament, but it's a last chance for a lot of guys. One more major, and then the doubles.
Morning, Adam. We are doing pretty well, thanks, mate. We're both just about recovered from our drives home. Neither me or Chris particularly love driving. I think we like having the flexibility of driving to places.
Yes. The
driving back, not so much. I'll get into that a little bit. But yes. Josh says going to be rooting Nathan on Thursday. Me too. Our practice sessions obviously paid dividends because we both did quite well. Nathan ended up, I think, 10th heading into the round robin. I ended up 15th, I believe. So out of 120, 120? Yeah, 120. That wasn't a bad effort for the two boys from the Austin area. So, yes. Where should we start? Should we talk a little bit about last night's TV show? Did you see it?
I did not get to see it. I was
craziest match in PBA history.
Well, through the comments and social media, I gathered that it was nuts.
So, AJ goes up, starts on the left lane, rifles the fucker in the gutter. I mean, I thought he'd thrown it in hard and then BJ Moore threw his first shot of the title match. But anyway, so AJ goes miss 9 to start. Jacob gets up and strikes, and you're like, ooh, this could get over real fast. Then Jacob manages to foul.
Oh.
So he has like foul 7 or 7 foul. I wasn't really 100% watching because I was bowling at the same time. So he's now got 24 in the second, and AJ started miss 9, and he's in the lead. AJ goes up, and I think he spares, and then he strikes. Now, to me, that cheater, you didn't really need to get it that close to the gutter for it to be like, it wasn't like you had to hit one when we bowled to strike. So I was kind of a little confused watching. Anyway, Jacob goes up and doubles. All right, he's back on track. AJ goes up on the right lane, throws it in the gutter again. He shoots the spare, and oh my God. I don't know. You know, when they say whether it's fear or no fear or stupidity? Holy shit, he got it close to it going straight back in.
Really?
Yeah, like to 0.6, they put it on the strike track thing.
Oh boy.
Makes the spare, gets up on the left lane again, and throws it in the gutter again. Spares it. So now he's got 49 in the fourth. 59 in the fourth, whatever it was anyway. He's gone miss 9, 9 spare, strike, miss spare, miss spare. So I'm like, God damn. So anyway, AJ basically strikes all the way to the 10th frame, and Jacob has a couple of dodgy shots, but can strike out for 243, I think, and AJ can strike out for 219. He gets up, he flats sevens in the 9th, spares it, goes on the left lane. Anyway, spares it, goes up on the left lane, and I think he's 6'8", but he fouled again.
Oh.
So it actually helped him because obviously the 6'8" was going to be a bit of a bitch. So anyway, he makes the spare, foul spare, strike. So now AJ needs the strike to win. He gets the strike. And then I'm like, AJ, you need like 6. Like, oh, it was a 3-4. There you go. He left the 3-4. So it was the 2-6. 2-6. Either way, whatever. So it was something that was pretty difficult to spare. Anyway, so I'm like, AJ's just going to throw the heater now. No. And I'm like, I feel like it was just because he couldn't add up. Because, like, he literally then didn't get it to the gutter, but threw it a million. So he almost 5 count. Like, it was very close to a washout, but he ends up crumbling the 210. So he gets 9 and he wins and he moves on. All right, cool. So then he comes up and our boy Joey G's on. Now, yeah. Just one sec. Hey, Adam, I'll circle back to that question in a minute. We do appreciate you. We're just going to finish off this TV show. So anyway, Joey G comes on and he's in typical Joey G form, right? So he goes up and he throws his first shot and he throws it a million and strikes. And I couldn't hear what song he had playing, but Joe's like this, like waiting for his ball to come back. And I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be great. So I guess you need to go back and listen to the audio of his second game because he's literally in full Joey G mode, like just yelling at himself. Like, you're such an idiot. Why did you not make that move sooner? Jesus, why? While throwing strike after strike, getting pissed off at the fact he hasn't made the move. So anyway, he doubles to start, whatever. And I guess they cut to his shoes and they've made him put like tape on his shoes.
Yeah.
But like, I guess Randy says his shoes are taped together.
Right. And there were some guys, some PBA guys that have had enough and took plenty of exception to Randy coming down on Joe and basically treating him like he was homeless.
Yeah.
And just kind of a scrub that didn't belong when this is actually his second show this year. It's far from being an accident at this point. So,
and like I made the comment that it's kind of funny because Joe's is definitely the only person on the show who paid for his shoes.
Yeah. Yeah. And the one thing about tennis shoes is that, well, you don't slide too far and foul.
So anyway, so the match ends up being like really close going down the last few frames. Joe throws a bad shot, gets an 8 count, so he gives the count back to AJ. So going into the 10th, it's like, I don't know, 25 versus 24. They're both on a strike. And AJ gets up and he threw it a little hard, but he didn't get it as to the friction as much. So he 2-8s. And then he cut it a little short and he went in front of it, basically. So Joe now needs a spare. He threw a pretty good shot, left the 4-pin, nailed it. So that was the win for him. Then he comes on against EJ, kind of back and forth.
His other show was one of the streamed shows, so it wasn't a nationally televised, I guess. Yeah.
So anyway, then like EJ basically was ahead most of the match. Joe made a change late on to kind of force EJ to turn up in the 10th frame. I think EJ was very reluctant to get the ball too far right in the 10th because he only needed a mark, and he got it very far left and had a weird hit to leave a 7-pin. I mean, I think EJ was kind of shocked it didn't go through the face, to be honest, looking at his expression. But he picked it up, ended up winning because, I mean, BJ Moore came out, and I think he opened the first 3 frames on the right lane. So it was a bit of a dud of a title match, unfortunately. 2 things I did note from that. I felt like it'll be interesting to see going forward in the rest of the shows. The guys who have already bowled on the lane in that USA versus the world, they kind of got a couple of games under their belts on the pair, how much that's going to play into it. Just having an idea. And I do feel like EJ had a pretty good idea of how the pair was going to be because they had a long show last year on the doubles where they ran it. Yeah. And EJ used, I believe he used a similar ball, like not the same one, but that ball.
Supposedly they went in there and re-leveled that TV pair, but it doesn't look any different to me than it did last year. The left lane hooks sooner and more, and the right lane hooks in the front, but not very much down lane at all.
So,
and it's only going to get worse as the patterns get longer. The USA World Show was on a pretty easy pattern that didn't look very easy when they were bowling on it.
No.
It looked pretty tricky, and it looked really hard to strike when you did get there. And as they kept running it, it kept getting harder. So
yeah. And the one good thing that I saw from it was that it didn't appear that the left or the right had a particularly easy time. So it wasn't like, one of the guys, like it didn't look like Jacob's look was particularly great.
Yeah, Jesper's look was significantly better in the USA World Show, but other than that, but some of that's what Jesper does too.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it'll be interesting to watch because I don't think they really intend to have shows that low scoring. And, there we go. Adam, circling back around to you. How would you both describe your World Series this year?
Do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
The title kind of spelled it out, didn't it? I bowled okay on the cheetah. I had a couple of I caught one of the pairs that maybe did not get fixed as well. So I had a 3 off the right in the middle, and then I had a couple of gutter balls, which there would have been no amount of fixing the panels probably would have saved for in between strikes again. That basically cost me about 100 pins and cost me making the top 20 in the cheetah. After that, it was pretty much a complete grind for me. So plenty of hook in the front, tight down lane. Carry was tough. Then tried to jam it in there, and it was a tough go all the way around. So I completed all the games. That was probably my biggest accomplishment.
Yeah. So I started off very badly on cheater the first game. I decided I was going to throw reactive, and I was on lane 38, which was appalling last year and was just as upsetting this year. Yeah. Got into the urethane, which was kind of funny because the reps have been teasing me recently because I've been having some success with urethane. So when I start throwing it, they're just like, you're just a urethane guy. Crutch.com. Sean keeps yelling at me, crutch.com. So, so yeah. So the amount of times I see them like mouth to me, just a urethane guy from the back.
Luzak's worst nightmare. You're his new target now.
Yeah. So I managed to kind of get myself back on track, really. Ended up turning what was looking like a disaster into a pretty good block. I shot, I think I shot 150 over the first block. Second block didn't bowl so good. Shot a 70 over. Then I bowled, I think, 130 over twice. So something like that. So I managed to do what I was hoping to do. I got a pretty okay score out of cheater. I didn't particularly love that one, like when we practiced, but I felt like if I could get loose, I could get a pretty good score on it. Probably didn't do as well as I should have done. I felt like I was going to gain all my pins on Scorpion because I really didn't think the Scorpion was that difficult. And then after practice, I spoke to a few of the guys and they're just like, Scorpion's impossible. And there's literally like not a better feeling in the world. Like when it's the one that you're like, oh, I can really see the shape on that one. And there's a bunch of other guys who are pretty good bowlers who are saying to you, that pattern's impossible. What did you bowl on?
Yeah.
Like, and I'd also practice on that one at home a couple of times. And I think it was quite helpful because I had in my mind, I had a pretty good picture of what I was going to do. I felt like when I bowled at home, the out of bounds was a little further in, but it wasn't as out of bounds, if that makes sense. Like when you got it right, when I was practicing on it at Mel's, you didn't go in the gutter. Like I threw the odd gutter ball, but you didn't go in the gutter. But there, for me, you either hit the pocket or you threw in the gutter. That's what it felt like. It was insane. Now, I personally didn't get 3 off the right or throw it in the gutter at any point on that pattern. A couple of times I wish I had done because I super washed out, and for the life of me, I couldn't spare that last week. So that was the pattern for me. I used like slower speed, a lot of angle. Felt like I could control the pocket pretty well. The last block was situationally a little fucked up. Like the third game, I followed a pair that had basically no bowling on it. And the lane was like super tight to the right because nobody had really bowled on it. Because we had 2 PTQ guys and 2 lefties on the fresh. And then the next pair had been 3 righties and 1 lefty. So both pairs were a bowler short. And both pairs didn't really have any super high rev rate guys on it. So we kind of got to it. And it was almost like going back to like bowling on fresh without breakdown. It was kind of weird. So struggled a little bit on that one to find the right solution. Go to the end pair and Simo used plastic to try and break the lane down. And he broke the lane down, but not in a way that was any way useful to me. And then unfortunately I made the flip game 5 and I got what I was expecting. I got a pair that was, super broken down, but that's what was supposed to happen. I just wasn't supposed to hit 2 pairs that were how they were. No, supposed to is the wrong phrase, but like I could have basically hit any other pairs and I would have had kind of what you would have expected. They were really the anomaly pairs, and I hit both.
There were some crosses that were really brutal to catch back to back because there was plenty of pairs that showed themselves to be not very high scoring over time, and particularly in different stages of blocks. But
here's an interesting question because I always feel against this. So, love the show, Chris. Do you feel being tall helps or hinders your bowling?
Oh, I think it helps. Longer levers, more leverage. I think I think the thing about being tall, being harder is an excuse, and likewise being short is. Simo doesn't seem to have a lot of trouble, and Norm seemed to make it through okay. And Walter's 6'4", and Wes is 6'5", and there's Dave Davis was tall in an era when there was very few other tall players. I don't think it's. I think good fundamentals helps way more than height or restricts. Yeah, that guy. Yeah, but he's got a bad back. He's shorter.
I personally disagree. I think being on the shorter side does have an advantage because I think it's easy. I think it's easier to use the ground to create the power. But I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm just saying that looking at like.
You're welcome to your wrong opinion. I have no problem with that.
Yeah. No, that's fine.
Yeah. No, I think there's a lot of things, and Goff talks about it all the time too. And that being tall is makes. I think different things bring different challenges. That's what I think. So.
But anyway, that's like I think that's more of a the current game, shall we say? I think that it's a lot of the power players aren't necessarily big people because I think that using the ground, like in golf, has helped a lot. But either way,
well,
yeah,
there's that. And Robert Eddy says, obviously, short has made him the superstar that he is today. It evidently, I think that's why why I'm not as successful in life as Robert, is just because I'm too tall.
Too tall, right, Jones.
Yeah. I mean,
all right, what we got? I really thought both of you would have a strike fest on the Shark Pan and make the show. Well, you're not keeping up, Adam. The Shark is not the one for me. Yeah. A little rough. I'd argue on that 550, but okay.
Yeah, well, yeah. Anyway.
Hey, we'll get to see Matt. We'll get to see how high it is. But,
yeah. It reads a little low on Specto on there. So Jesper's read it like 540 or something during the USA World Show, and I'm gonna.
The thing with Jesper is that I always like is that Jesper's track is basically a full roller, and his rev rate is still that high. Think about how much more his ball covers for a
circumference of his ball is like actually the whole ball.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
But anyway, getting back to this, I tried to play Shark the way the field was playing it and suffered painfully through that. So I took a page out of McCune's book and moved to the right and threw heaters. So I had 9-11, and then I had about five or six opens for the rest of the 15 games. So
you bowled great on the Shark.
Sorry,
you bowled great on the Shark once you moved to the right and kind of.
I struggled a little bit the last squad. I think my ankle was giving me trouble, and I think having bowled league last night, I think that was more of an issue than I thought it was, and may have been part of the reason why I flagged the head pins so many times. On the second day on Shark, my two most popular leaves were the 1-2-4 and the 1-2.
Oh, we had the long right miss was in play, which was not much in play.
I don't think it was necessarily long right. It was like
just right.
The launch was like, as opposed to being like this, it was like that, and that was enough that she wasn't hooking.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's happening, fellas? About how long does it take for a new ball to drop from when we hear about it? I need the dark physics. I don't know anything about the dark physics. Dark physics to me sounds like an overseas release.
Yeah, we get the releases, the USA releases, the information drops about a month, give or take. Month to 5 weeks beforehand. And then we get these about 3 to 4 weeks before they come out.
So this is the new Roto Grip ball that's coming out on May 19th, I believe.
Yeah.
So
we're right at a
we will have the reviews up for that next Friday, a week on Friday. 3 weeks before the release date is when you will see YouTube reviews.
Yes.
Um,
Bowling DJ, seen Barnzy using Hustle USA frequently and Hustle PBR on senior events in past. What is the shape difference between those two, and what type of patterns would you generally use those on? They both have a stronger cover than the other Hustles. So it's a small weight block with a pretty strong cover on it that rolls a little sooner. So it's mostly for shorter patterns. Blending out a little wet dry, but I'm not going to use either one of them from particularly far left of about 13, 14, but they will blend out the wet dry on the senior tour. We don't see so much of that on the regular tour. I like it on the short as instead of a 2-inch pin, it's like a low 4-inch pin, and then use that as kind of a ball off of urethane.
But thanks for the the tip, DJ.
That was a super chat. So yeah, I appreciate it. But that's why I like those. I do like the Hustle line in general. I use the Hustle line as my longest, cleanest dry lane ball. The USA I use as kind of where I used to use like a 2-inch pin, but it's a short control ball, for hooking patterns for me.
Yeah, I tried I tried a Hustle wine. I still,
It's
to me.
You're so good at getting it down the lane. I think it's just too.
It's neither one thing nor the other. It's like if I need a ball that weak, then the cover is too strong. If that makes sense.
It responds too much by the time you get to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it just becomes like
miles.
Yeah. It either hooks miles because it skids a little more than, say, the Revenant.
Yeah.
Or I get it down the lane, it comes flying back, and it just goes blink.
Blink.
So
yeah. I like to use that Hustle one. It lets me roll it and feel like it's not going to hook in the front a lot. And then because I'm more end over end, then it controls that back end shape they're talking about. It doesn't make me separate quite so far.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's just not a ball that's this useful for me. Hey, Glenn, thanks again. Good morning. Lived through the shows. Is success in the World Series due to great mechanics or picking the right ball? In other words, which one's more important? Neither. I think that the success in the World Series now is about matching up to the house. And I think that's usually more, I guess you could say mechanics, but I don't necessarily think it's great mechanics. I think it's just like having a ball roll that matches what the center wants. So I think that the patterns are more and more, they seem to be a little closer together. You don't necessarily, it used to be a really rare thing to see a guy cash on all of the patterns. Now it just seems like it's like normal.
Yeah, and we're seeing a little.
I just feel like
there's a little less variety front to back, and so the center, the age of the center and the amount of play in the center shows up a lot right now everywhere. And so, like Stu says, if you're able to get through the front to back part right, the 36, 48, 42, it doesn't matter that much that you're getting to it the right way by just bowling up and bowling down a little bit. Great mechanics is a little bit of that's kind of the entry fee for being out there anyway. So it is important, but it's hard to separate that significantly out there by itself.
I was about to say, and I think that great mechanics should be replaced with repeatable mechanics.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, great is very up for debate.
Sure.
Like Dave Ozio has great mechanics, or had when he bowled.
Yeah.
He wouldn't, bowling like he bowls would be very difficult to be competitive on the PBA tour as we bowl now.
Right. And that's what he ran into at the end of his career. Same with Voss at the end of his career. And it's been pretty difficult for me this year.
But like I was about to say, but like, for example, somebody who's watching the show, who's having a great year, has very repeatable mechanics, but not that you would ever teach, is Ogle.
Yeah.
Like nobody would say that's a textbook way to bowl two-handed. Like Matt says, he's 6'3", and he weighs as much as a wet shirt. And but he's got a very repeatable technique.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's necessarily repeatable for a guy trying to copy him.
Well, it would be difficult for someone of Simo's stature to do some of the things that Matt does.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think, and that just cycles right back to height versus, some of the things that Simo does. Virtually no one who's tall could do what Simo does.
Yeah. I mean,
there's so much, it would be so much movement that it would be very difficult. But
he says he's 2 wet shirts. Only because you've been on the road.
In the USA, we fattened you up on the tour.
Yes, we did. We didn't get so lucky the last time we went, but we did this time.
Yeah, it's about as good as it gets there.
It was cool to see as many fans come out. It did make the high end of the bowling center little warm.
Yeah, and that got blamed on the center a little bit. But to be honest, everywhere in the north, it was the first time the airs kicked on in 6 months. And so every center in the north has issues. Every center period has issues when it kicks on.
I did get a little bit of Qatar vibes though from that place. Because remember in like Qatar, you'd sit on lane 3 and it was like a fridge, and you'd sit on lane 4 and it was significantly not as much of a fridge.
Yeah.
The low end where Sean Ryan was like a meat locker.
It was 15 degrees cooler than the high end.
When you made the swing, there was like, and to prove that Ogle is 2 wet shirts, he was wearing his jacket.
Is there any change you'd like to make to the format of the WSOP, the World Series pattern this year? I've heard several people saying they wish they had a day between each pattern. Thoughts on this?
Few things. Sorry, Ogle replied. My body went into shock going from the high side to the low side. All right. A few things. We as a sport don't get to dictate to TV what we want. So that means that we get TV dates and we have to kind of make content around the TV dates. So that provides some challenges when those TV dates come out very late.
Yeah. So there's obviously some things that happen this year that would not be ideal for players, for commissioner, for anybody. You just kind of make do sometimes, and they're imperfect, and they are, but that's what you have to deal with.
Now, with that being said, given the situation they had, I would not have done it the way they did it. That doesn't necessarily mean that I'm right, but that's not the way I would have done it. Like, for example, I think that I don't think that it was a great move when we went to 5 on a pair. One suggestion that was heard that a lot of people like the idea of was the possibility that we bowled a couple of blocks of 6 each day, but we went 6, 6. The next day we'd go 6, and that would cut, and then there would be a practice session.
Yeah.
I kind of like the idea of that. I think it also makes the first day practice session a little more valuable, because when you've got unlimited amounts of people and everybody wanting to practice on cheetah,
yeah,
it becomes a little challenging to get a kind of a grip on what you're supposed to do. So that being said, I would have liked us to have used Saturday and Sunday last week in the evening. The show finished at 3. I don't think it would have been terrible for us to have had a practice on Saturday and bowled the Cashes round for the World Series on Sunday night. I can imagine that. Tom has reasons why that wouldn't have worked, but I liked the monstrous amount of games. Yeah, that's why we would have gone to 4 on a pair. We could have done two blocks of 6, 4 on a pair. That might have been an option, but yes, Adam. Yeah, Chris is the master of the 2 patterns. He's able to do a really good job of kind of separating the 2 patterns, having a good plan for each. And as much as he wants to fight it, he's pretty good with his urethane ball. So, yes, I think he's got a good chance. Doggonaut, thank you again. I notice a difference between the newer and older two-handed bowlers. Older ones tend to bend their arm during the swing, whereas younger ones like Santu keep it straight. Any thoughts? Probably flexibility. Also, my man Santu's built like a cube. He's fairly solid.
Yeah.
And I did have to tell him, boy, you got a big ass.
The other guy straight is Doherty, who is one of the older two-handers on. Well, he's not two-handed, no thumber on tour, and he actually his push away's completely straight out in front of him, which is you have to be strong to do that. It's also one of the reasons why he's gone to 14 now. It puts a tremendous amount of strain on his core to have the ball that far out in front of you and keep your body in position. So.
There you go.
Yeah. I feel you.
Your boy Dougie. He says, see you all at Carolia. Yep. See you over there, Dougie.
Shots on me. I'm not the one that got scared of a bat. Seems like shots on you, boss.
Here we go. Hey, Bat Revs. Hey, first time catching this live. I'm a righty two-hander, and my bag right now is the absolute Zensol Wolverine Moss, as your son calls it, Hustle Camo, and a mix. Thoughts? Any changes? What ball next? I would think that depending on how much speed you have, I would think a Reality would be a popular choice. That seems a Reality or a Gem seems to be a popular choice for most two-handers, kind of as their strong control ball.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's probably your next.
You got a lot of the rest covered fairly well, I think.
Well, thanks, Brian. That's very kind. Appreciate
Nice.
the tip. Thanks, Scott. Says he enjoys the show. Keep up the good work. So,
did Doherty ever bowl on the tour with the thumb in prior? Has he done this technique as long as you can call it? He did, but only on the short, because before urethane, he couldn't keep his ball on the right side of the head pin on the short pattern. But no, I mean, he's always used his thumb for spares. And I would consider him a very good spare shooter. Liked his approach, like Oscar is used as well. But it does require more maintenance, I think, to put your thumb in for one side and then two-handed for others. And so sometimes it's hard to go back and forth.
And Tom is tall.
For being fair, relatively, isn't everyone?
Oh, Chris.
This is why people don't like me. I understand.
Yeah, this is why we lose sponsors. Hey, Kyle, what's going on? Best advice you could give towards learning how to add more revs. Sorry, I'm all over the place. Usually to bowl just like you, Chris, but feel no matter what I try, can't add more. Well, you're asking the wrong guy, because Chris has been trying to add more, and it's not happening.
Yeah, 15 wasn't a magic elixir. In general, I mean, you're talking about bending your elbow more, you're being quicker twitch. There's some things that bull use. There's a few tools, gadgets, whatever you want to call them, that they use to try and increase that, quicken that motion a little bit. You could try something there as well. Obviously, taking your thumb out is the easiest way to increase your rev rate, but it involves a lot of other things. You have to be pretty athletic, flexible, and healthy to do it. Well, that's how I know we're friends. And now my day's complete. I feel good about it now. Yeah.
Yes, Adam. Yeah, he's bowling the PTQ on Sunday, a week on Sunday. So, good luck. Where are we? Do you think something's going on with Belmo? Is just the nature of being out on the PBA tour, can't always be on top? My man was a little frustrated last week. He's become one. He's become one of the guys now. He let his frustration out a little bit with some. He vocalized it more than I've heard.
I was never within a pair. I was always like 3 pairs away in all 3 patterns. And it's the most demonstrative I've seen him be, even when he was a rookie and still like struggling to be.
Yeah.
He had all the expectations, and which would have been really easy to get out of sorts. Now, that being said, it still wasn't. It's still nothing crazy, but it is the first time I've heard anything.
He did a Simo.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, somebody about 8 lanes away was talking as they walked back, and he threw a split. He's like, "Can people just shut the fuck up when they're bowling?" And I was like, "Yes." And I went back to Sean Ryan. I go, "Your man's coming unglued. Imagine how pissed off he'd be if he hadn't won the TOC as well." Yeah. I go, so we were laughing about that, and I keep teasing Belmont. I went, "Man, I remember when you said that guys should be fined a lot." He goes, "Prove it." He goes, "You haven't got any evidence I did it. Prove it."
I do. I got your back on that one. I've heard it multiple times.
I got turned in this week.
Yeah.
Rats, Chris. Rats. Won't do it. I won't do it, Chris. No, I won't even turn myself in. I'm certainly not turning anybody else in.
Weirdest, most awkward moment for you on TV with EJ's comment? Well, it was on the live stream on PBA's YouTube channel. Alcohol, I do not believe was involved. Maybe skipping history class a little bit was probably more involved.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I assume that's what you're talking about, because that's.
Yeah. Oh, I just watched his press conference and I was like, because he said, yeah, I was all set to say nice things about Chris Barnes, but then I realized that I tied Tommy, not Chris. So yeah, my man, my man isn't the sharpest tool in the box when it comes to world events, is he?
Well, and to be fair, there are several parts of the country that don't teach at the same level as others, so may not be his fault. But
okay, we're getting a little far now. No, Belmo didn't stomp on anybody.
No.
No, he just got the frustration of being here.
He actually peeped out loud, which he just doesn't. He doesn't do anything.
But that's usually because he's lapping the field, and it's a little easier when
I'm lapping the field too. That he still burns a little warmer than the average cat.
Yeah,
Belmo tries to run on pretty much.
I will say
he wants to live on Enya.
I want to give people a inside baseball type of play on this. I live here, so you don't take this the wrong way. It's not necessarily the favorite experience of every foreign person to be here for 6 weeks or 8 weeks in a row without getting to go home. I'm just putting it like that. I think Belmo would much prefer it if we bowled 3 or 4 weeks and he could go home for 2 or 3 weeks and then he came back and forth and back and forth. I think the last few seasons has worn on him a little bit, being away, saying to bye to his family at the end of January, and then come May being like, hey, I'm back. That's a large block of time to miss.
We've done some stretches where we're gone for 3 weeks, 4 weeks at a time in Asia, somewhere where you can't really get back home to. And I can tell you, there is a limit to how long you can be there. And especially when you're not running solo, as a bachelor, family, kids, that kind of thing. There's a number there where, okay, if I'm going to be here, this needs to go really well, or it's not really worth me being here.
It's just not fun after a while.
Yeah.
And you also, I'm not saying this in his defense, but in his defense, his average day in the bowling center is a lot more stressful than mine. Like, from the second he walks in, somebody always wants something.
Yeah.
When he leaves.
Yeah, he's not incognito at any point. It's autographs nonstop. It's
photos.
He has to be on. Yeah, and that's not. Randy walks into a room, it's like breathing oxygen. He loves having people around and attention, and that's a thing for him. And it's not for most of the guys, really.
Yeah, I don't think Belmo wants people to feel sorry for him. It's not that. It's just that it's just a long trip after a while.
Yeah, so, it's an underrated and under talked about thing about guys being gone. We're gone also. But if we really want to get home, we can go home for a few days easily. You're not getting to Australia easily. It just doesn't work that way. So, that's fact. That was a great match. Yeah, didn't see it.
There's not a thing I could say here that would make it better, but that wasn't on my recorded favorite show list.
It was probably the highest level of competition I've seen in one of those finals. There was a lot of really good players there. If you're a fan of Carolyn going speechless, this was your show, because when Alyssa got pulled for a little bit, she went silent. When they won and they showed Alyssa crying, Carolyn also started crying and went silent. So if that was your thing,
so Carolyn had a tough time. Much then?
More than half, but she did struggle, which she has not done much of this year. And their team is deep enough that there was which says something that they had a legitimate option behind her that was able to come and be pretty solid.
Did Danielle's sister bowl? Why don't we just ask Nico? He's
yeah. I mean, these guys know everything. We have the best fans in the business. Let's just go to them.
Yeah.
I did have a good time over the weekend doing some commentary. Got a chance to do USA versus the world. I saw some comments earlier. Some guys were complimentary. I appreciate it. Yeah, okay, she did. There we go.
So thanks, Steve. Appreciate it. If you got a question, fire in.
If you guys did like the commentary, feel free to express yourself on social media. It seems the powers that be watch that pretty consistently. And so yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, it doesn't have to be a Chris or Randy. It can be a Chris and Randy scenario. Yeah. Like, this isn't a either or. Like, I feel like there's been quite a lot of dogpiling on Randy. And I think that you two complemented each other's skill sets quite well. So,
yeah, I think I balance out some of the entertainment complex and take away some of the time where he feels like he has to fill, which is when he really gets into trouble with people. And then I talk about the tech thing, which is not his, It's not really his wheelhouse. And there's a lot of cool tools they are using now with Strike Track and then Lane Talk and having all the stats. You just have to, I'm a bowling nerd too, so I love all that stuff. Just got to find some times to get it in there.
Yeah, definitely. I did like you talking about the moves that the guys had made during the show. It's also one of those things where it's kind of like seeing that and like using it. It's always difficult for you guys to be able to get to a position where you can actually see the shot, because sometimes what you see in real time and what that thing shows you doesn't necessarily give you the same perspective.
Yeah.
I think a lot is lost in the fact that we watch things in 3D.
Yeah.
And then it reports it in 2D effectively. And a lot of the depth and stuff it's just different.
We don't have a great camera angle at the pair, but it's close enough. You watch shots, and I tend to still watch shots live versus on the monitor, like some of the other guys do. So there's some shots that come off and go, whoa, that was way in. And then you look at it and go, it was a board and a half. But because you just watch these guys all day long, you go, ooh, that was up the lane firm. Yeah, it was a big miss for him. Now, and you look at it and you go, it was only a board or a board and a half. And you go, now Jesper's one miss that was 3. That was gigantic.
Yeah. Yeah, it looked like he bowled off the wrong foot.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. When people think they've got 5 boards to hit, they don't.
Oh, 3's as much as Jesper's probably missed in the entire season. And he still struck. And he was more shocked than anyone that it still struck.
Yeah, Balmo had a couple when he was throwing it harder.
He had the one where he missed 2, and it was a big miss also, especially for Balmo, because I think he's probably hits his target as much as anyone.
And Simo.
Huh? Yeah.
And Simo.
Yeah, they just
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Especially when Simo's going straight. It's just a joke.
Simon knows what he's best at, and that is his default is just putting it on the 3-pin.
All right, let's get to Jack and Tom's question here. It says, "Hi guys. Well, first of all, thanks for the super chat. Cheater is our first. I'm guessing it's our first pattern for the summer league. Afraid my exotic and infinite won't be useful. You're probably correct to be afraid. So play hard and straight with a TNT Hustle USA Hype Pearl. I'm 58 and can't get left with strong stuff. So first thing, when you play on the cheater, you've got to figure out whether 1, 2, 3 is going to hook consistently. So that's going to be the thing, and you've got to figure out being able to get lined up to get the ball to that spot. Now, I don't know how much experience you have of bowling on this, but for most people, the first time they're going to bowl on cheater, they're going to feel like 8 is way right. It's not. That's way left for your break point. So I think that the TNT and Hustle USA are 2 pretty good options. What you're going to want to do is stand as far right as you feel confident and then move another 2 right. Is pretty much my advice for most people. It's a bit like my same advice for brackets. Pick as many brackets as you can afford to enter and then enter 1 more. But yeah, I feel like, the TNT and the Hustle USA should be your best bets on the fresh. And then if you can move a little bit left, you might get to see some use out of your infinite, especially if you can use a little more speed. As the pattern stretches a little bit. If you feel like the Hustle USA is getting a little lazy down the lane, the Hype Pearl might be an option. But you're going to have to make sure you get it to the further right towards the friction. So good luck with it. Check back in a few weeks when you've when you've actually had to go on it, and we'll see what we can do. Go on. What was yours? Nice to hear.
Nice to hear someone who doesn't think Erudite is a super glue. Nice comments. I appreciate some of the things there. I wish they'd bring Rob in more often. Yeah, I mean, he's a big deal at Fox, so we just can't get him every every time. So this would be very interesting, but we need someone to run the show. And the play-by-play, as much as everybody wants to run over Dave or Rob, that's a hard job. And it's a way different job than just talking about what you see. But it might be really entertaining. We might have to have the beep button.
I think that if I was ever to do something like that, it would be the round table thing. I don't think I'd feel any fun in doing the commentary. Like, like when they go to like the halftime breakdown or whatever.
Yeah. No, I like that part. And I think
that would be more like there's
I think
very
we
little.
should probably do a little bit more of that in the middle of the show instead of watching, the 10-minute break in between for practice. Might be a way to get that on there a little more often. But
no, the closest I ever came, it was not even really that close, but it was fun. And I want to mention it because it was against Rash. I threw a double gutter and still beat Rash.
yeah, Marshall's had a double gutter too, Marshall Holman, but it's
but did he win?
He did not win. I don't believe so.
10 in the first, 10 in the second. Let's go.
We did get to a pair at one point. It was Yunus Yahi.
Mm-hmm.
On the right lane, he went strike, gutter, strike. On the left lane again, he struck again, and then he went. So he had a 3-bagger, and then went 4 count on the next one. So he had 4 shots on the right lane, and he was averaging 3.3 with a strike, and 1.3 for the other 3. It was yikes.
Would the Idol Cosmos be a great medium-heavy oil ball behind the reality and the eternity? It'd be behind them. I think it'd probably be a little weak. I think a phase 2 might be better. Would be
agreed. Yeah, the phase 2.
All right.
Yeah. So
let's move on to what everybody's all about, right? So, which was the best fry out of the week? Was it Chris's number 1, Chris's number 2, or Chris's number 3?
Huh. Thanks, Trevor, for being on point here. He used to be a really fiery brother back in the day. Did that ever get you in trouble? I've had more than a fine or 2 along the way. One last week as well. We had a few moments this week.
We just like of the fun ones, the funniest thing anybody did this week, and I don't know who it is. I honestly don't know who it is. I'm not doing it. Allegedly, someone threw a ball mid-block on top of the BBA trailers.
Yeah, I heard that too, and I can confirm that was not me. I did hear it was me. It was not me. I did not do that.
Oh my God. This is the greatest thing ever. I just don't know what goes through your mind. I know what would be a good idea.
Wow.
Simon was all about it because he saw it. There was a forklift out there that had the keys in it. And he goes, if someone will stand on that, I'll lift them up so they can get the ball. He goes, I bet if we see the grips, we'll know whose ball it is. That was just about the funniest thing that I saw. I didn't see, but like that was by far the funniest thing in the World Series because I kind of overheard Sullivan talking about it, and I'm like, did you just say someone threw a ball on top of the PBA trailers? And he goes, yeah. And I was like, whoa.
Now, I've heard of Bob Benoit trying to throw it on top of a bowling center in NKC Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
Which we're not talking about. It ain't a 10-foot wall. It's like 30 feet up there. And and Bob could run a little warm as well. And he didn't get it up there the first time, or the second, or the fourth.
Rick tried as well.
Yeah. I do believe they finally got it up there, but
Ogle says, "I know, but I ain't telling." All right, Matt, just tell us which brand it was. Which brand of bowling ball was it?
There's no need for secrets here, Matt. No.
There was a bowling ball in the locker room that we were still picking pieces up for about a week. That was fun. Matt, at this point, it sounds like it might have been you.
Yeah, I guess that's all we can assume.
All right, headline: Matt Ogle threw troublemaker on roof of thing. And I'm saying it was a troublemaker because according to social media, that's the only ball you have now.
Oh, well. Yeah, I think, yeah.
Oh shit. Oh no, I was just talking about this week, Ron. But yes.
Yeah, and the whole Marshall Holman story is great, but I don't think that one's accurate. I think it was at the showboat where they don't screw down the middle plate. It wasn't even the big unit; it was just the reflector on the other side, and it came off because they're just laying on top. But yeah, that was an overreaction Monday that year.
I was pretty disappointed that we didn't see some fists flying though this week.
Yeah,
I was pretty disappointed. I was like, there's a lot of big dick energy, but nothing really ever happens. Like, if you're that upset about it and you've got that much of a problem, fucking go and have a conversation with the guy. Conversation.
Yeah. If Santa has that conversation with me, I'm gonna, yes, sir.
Why are people fighting at bowling tournaments? Why do people fight anywhere?
Yeah.
Can I answer this question? Did anybody have any injuries with the 60 games? There was a lot of broken hearts.
There was
a lot of
broken lower extremities by a few people too, but
yeah, I was saying a lot of people pulled out because they wanted to, what was it? Maintain.
Yeah.
Chris said to me,
and then you had some legitimate injuries. Doherty pulled out. He was in the cut with about 6 games to go in the overall.
Yeah.
He was like 38th or 39th still for a pretty decent check and called it good. His back has been bothering him all year.
Okay.
West quit early. Sean finished all the games, although he looked pretty beat up.
When Tommy pulled out, Chris said he was quite jealous of him. And I said, there is not a chance on this earth you would have ever pulled out. Ever.
It's not my thing, but
so
it doesn't mean I didn't envy him standing in the back while I was bowling the last 10 games.
Yeah, it was it was there wasn't a 6 or 7. There was like 6 or 7 the last block. There was quite
there was way more than that. There was some of the PTQ guys that don't you're a Wild and Out fan, I guess. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Of course.
Oh yeah.
Might have
when you have 4-hour blocks to bowl 5 games, and there is a season's worth, 8 weeks in a row of bowling, all the frustrations that can come into play that don't really have anything to do with that moment, but it can be the tipping point. So
I went 142 for 142 on single pins this week. How was that one game for you?
I had a few head fakes the one game. The 7 pin got out of my way twice.
You got distracted before you shot at the 9 pin.
Distracted, yes. Distracted. Let's call it distracted. A little loss of focus there, and other than that, it was a fairly decent week. Although I'm not a lane talk expert about how to look up all my stats there, but
you smoked the 6, 7, 10 as well.
Oh yeah, I made the 6, 7, 10 in the middle of that game while missing every single pin I looked at. And it got obvious as the week went on that my legs were getting tired, my core was getting tired, and I was just getting out of position way too often. Ironically, the 3, 6, 10, I think I had a higher percentage at than maybe the single pins last week. It's going to be a minute before I don't look at that spare and have a little flashback every single time. But it was yeah. Well, he is most weeks, to be honest. And some of it's just because the amount, helps that percentage be higher. It allows him to miss sometimes when you shoot twice as many as EJ and Simo, but
yeah. I just had to get that one in. Yeah. I wasn't after the end of Shark. I don't think I was the top one on single pins. I think I was the only one who didn't miss one.
It was interesting that Dom actually was the highest out of the group of 8 that were on the World Show at 98 point something percent, like 98.5% at single pins this year.
It was the 10 pin. The stat was for the 10 pin.
That was just the 10? I thought it was single pins. Oh, you're right. That was just 10 pins.
Last season, he's also was arguing for a little while because they told him that fill balls didn't count anymore, in the system.
Yeah.
So Dom didn't throw a strike shot at a 9 pin. He went strike and left the 9 pin. He missed it.
Yeah.
At the US Open. Well, it doesn't count towards makeables. You spare percentage, but it does show up that you missed the single pin.
Yeah, which is
Dom went off on Magnus like it was something that was important. He goes, Magnus, you need to change this.
Yeah.
He's like, Dom, you missed it. No, I didn't. You need to change this. He was getting so upset.
Yeah, the throw balls should be a default. That shouldn't be a thing.
So anyway, it doesn't really matter. So this went on. And then Dom's like, all right, this is nonsense. I don't even care about the stats anymore. Because last season, he missed one, a 10 pin. And at one point, he was like, I think he'd spared 160 in a row. Like, Dom's really good at the 10 pin.
Yeah.
So he'd spared like 160 in a row or something. And then he missed one. And I go, hey, Dom, I'm looking at this. I bet if you get to 200, if you get to 199 makes, it'll round up to being 100% again. And Dom started laughing. So once he was getting to like 195, 196, he was like super like stressy about making it. So anyway, he gets to 100. I think he got to 202 out of 203, right, for the season last year because we were keeping all the games.
Yeah.
And it went back to 100%. And Dom's like, yes, I broke the system. So then Magnus changed it so that it didn't default back up to 100% because obviously you're not 100%.
You can't. Yeah.
Right. So it did it. So then Dom goes, I can miss at least another couple now. Who cares? I'll still be 99%. So it's been a bit of fun for both of us. I think they looked it up and I had 680 single pins. I'd missed 12 this season. And both me and Dom were like, that's not that great. And they were like, no, that's really good. Like Martin was like, that's a pretty amazing stat. And both me and Dom were like, I missed 12. How have I missed that many?
Right.
And
the new normal is a little lower bar than it used to be.
Well, I just think that
But
I just
maybe we can
care
keep
more
track
about it.
either. Yeah.
Well, I just think that like sparing a single pin has never been about technique. It's about taking your time and actually giving a shit about sparing it. It reminds me a little bit of when Timmy told me, I've got a tip for you to help remember people's names. And I've told you this one because I'm terrible with names. Timmy goes, you actually have to give a shit what their name is to remember it. And I feel like that with single pins. It's not difficult to make a single pin. It's just,
yeah.
It's just if you don't, it's like, here's the deal, right? Simo is a better spare shooter than I am because he's more accurate than I am. But I'm way better at shooting singles than Simo is. Because
Simo gets he gets irritated.
Now, and when I say way better, he might have missed 20 on the season. I've missed 12.
Right.
So to him, it's almost irrelevant. Like to me, that 80 pins is pretty useful. But I'm just saying that like they're all really good spare shooters, like EJ and Simo and Belmo. I just miss less single pins because I can't afford to miss them. But, I don't know. I'm not betting against him.
He's a long ways back. It's going to be tough for him. It's like 350 pins in 12 games, I believe. It's a lot, but
yeah, it really depends.
He doesn't lack confidence on getting there. If he has to stay there that long, he's going to make a run at it. You'll know early. If he gets out of the blocks the first 2 games, they'll know too. So, I put this up. You know, I knew this is some fun comments about people thinking a little too long on the approach while this week. So there's a lot of guys that take a little long. EJ locked in for player of the year. No, not with 2 majors left and the other 2 guys in contention both have one. He's certainly the front runner, and the extra titles will be the tiebreaker. But if he stays at 1 and one of those guys gets to 2, then you have a real conversation. And if one of them gets to 3,
yeah, I mean, I think that what EJ's done this year is remarkable, and I think that what Simo's done is remarkable in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Winning 4 times is just insane. Belmo won 5 last year by the time it was all said and done. I just, like, for me, I think that as a player, I think that it's hard because I think that what Simo's done to me is like almost insane to finish in the top 10 in every event.
Yeah.
Like that's not like even feasible.
It's crazy. It's crazy hard to do.
And that's definitely been done less times than someone winning 4 times. But as someone who's only won twice, it's so remarkable that someone could win 4 or 5 times in one season. So for me, I'm like, my vote for player of the year is always going to go to the guy who has the higher highs. So unless Simo can win another major, it's just going to be too difficult. Like, as much as I appreciate what he's done every week, and I find it insane that someone could do that, I think player of the year is about the person who has the most highs during the year.
Simo has 1 win or 2?
He has 2. He won in Wichita.
Yeah.
And then he won now.
Simo would have to win twice more for me. And one of those would be a major. And that means EJ doesn't win. And obviously, if EJ wins another major, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is if Simo won 1 more and he had 3 titles and EJ had 4 titles, even if it was just a regular title, I think it's back to being debatable because I think finishing in the top 10 every single week is just
top 10 to me every week that's a stat that I value because that's a little bit how I play it. I want to be good every week. And I value that thing. But I certainly understand there's a big group that will care way more about the fact that that winning is the only thing. And EJ hasn't fought. He's had a couple of sort of bad tournaments, but not really. So.
Yeah. Like I say, the other part of it is EJ beat Simo for one of the titles.
True.
So that's another part of it. But I mean, they're both having a remarkable season. I think that unless Belmo wins both majors, I think he's almost locked out of the Player of the Year thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's just it's like for him. I think even if he won the Players, I don't think that's enough to catch up. And given last year when Simo won both majors, and Belmo only won one, but Belmo won 5 titles, Belmo won Player of the Year by a pretty decent margin as well.
Yeah.
And that might be the only time in history someone's won 2 majors and not won the Player of the Year.
It's wild.
Yeah.
But was the year Goebel won 4 times and didn't win Player of the Year? He wasn't even in the top 3. Or top 2.
Yeah. Which is the opposite of what they voted this time. But
yeah.
Like I say, I think that like I say, it's all to play for and whatever. But like it's just the two of them this year have been insane. I mean, they're 11,000 points ahead. For example, Ogle's in 4th in points before the World Series. If you add Ogle's points to Belmo's points, who's in 3rd, Belmo doesn't catch either EJ or Simo.
Yeah, it is a 2-horse race at this point.
That's just madness.
That's wild, isn't it?
Yeah. And then, like we said the other day, EJ just won Cheetah, and his average points per event went down.
Yeah, because his average points per tournament is too high for a single point event.
Yeah, because the regular events count twice what the World Series events count, and the majors count 3 times. So the World Championship's worth 3 times more points than Chameleon or whatever it was, Scorpion and Cheetah and Shark.
Yeah, so. Titan says, not sure if anybody's already asked this. How are your arms holding up, B&B? I've said this a few times. I said I'm not jealous of two-handers at really any time other than 2 times. When I'm drilling balls and when I'm first putting my thumb in after a break or the first thing in the morning. That's when I'm jealous of two-handers 100%. Arms are fine. Thumb?
I'm jealous when I slide in the left gutter and my ball hooks early.
Yeah,
I ain't throwing it down the lane. So my ankles are in way worse shape than any of my hand or arm or anything else. Like that last couple of blocks where I was throwing it 1,000, I've messed my ankles up pretty good. My left ankles. I'm gonna have to watch some YouTube videos about how to tape.
Yeah, Adam says if Simon wins both animal patterns shows, he's POI. We'll see.
They've still
the World Championship show will still outweigh everything. If EJ wins that, it doesn't matter who wins what. It's a wrap. So
Berkey, he says, "Hey boys, listen every week, but first time catch it live. Love the show. Now time to pick your brains. I'm bowling Shawnee on the Scorpion. Any advice?" Yes. Figure out where that slot is. I would imagine in Shawnee it's going to be around 8 or 9. Yeah. With the way you like to attack them, I think you should be good, keeping it pretty much in front of you. But you're going to have to draw your gutter at about 6, because if you get it outside of 6, it's just going to go in.
Yeah, that place is pretty tight. So the good news is you'll be able to use some surface. So I'd have at least one with some scratchy, or at least have a pad handy to put it on there, because it's one of the better surfaces that we bowl on. Really, I mean, outside of your house, it's one of the better surfaces any of us bowl on anywhere. So it actually should play very similar to what it does at home for you, which most places will hook a lot earlier. So yeah, it's that's a fair guess.
Oh, Oh, hey, Steve. I have a Jackal, Mythic, Zen, Phase 2, all hooked too much. Burner Paul, Hustle USA, Twist. Wow. Lefty said, thoughts on a weaker ball? I would think that you should think about a urethane ball if you're a lefty, especially if you've got 17 miles an hour. And if those balls are too strong and a twist is near perfect, then I would think that a urethane ball would be a good control piece for you.
Yeah, for sure.
And then on the other side of it, I mean, if you're looking at a twist, then I mean, at that point, you're probably looking at what do we call tropicals now? Tropical breeze,
Surge,
tropical surge. You're probably looking at a tropical surge from the storm side. Yeah. And then you could, I'm guessing it'd probably be a little too angular, but you could consider, we would say hustle wine, but given what you're talking about, maybe a hustle camo might be better.
a touch smoother.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Well, thanks, guys.
Okay. Yeah, we're an hour 20, I guess. We can I will answer this real quick. Is parity at its highest right now on the PBA Tour? No. There's 3 guys basically bowling for the title every week. And that's just giving credit to the one who's been bowling for the title for the last 10 years. It's really been 2 guys. And so I actually think it's very top heavy right now. And there's a pretty big separation between those top.
It's very rev rate heavy as well.
Yeah, and that's just philosophies, and they come around. But it's been pretty specific to a group here for a while. So I don't necessarily agree with. It's a very talented. I'm not saying it's any less talented than the others, but hit the like button and subscribe, please. We will have some videos coming soon, though. We do got the new duo, so we'll get that up. And Thursday, maybe we'll talk about nationals and a couple of those other things. A lot of guys are heading out there. Get a little more information. I will be at Collegiate Nationals on Thursday, so maybe we won't do anything on Thursday, or Stu may have a guest.
Just because Jeff likes to be perfectly correct, he actually came 10th in one event.
Yeah, there you go.
I believe it was Springfield. Might be wrong on that, but his lowest finish is 10th this season.
Yeah, there you go. Well, Trevor, there is a shot out there somewhere.
There is. It's a short.
Yeah,
we have it on our channel, I believe.
Check on Beef and Barnzy channel. I believe it's on that one. It's not, or is it on yours?
No, I think it's on that one.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So, was BJ throwing a duo on the show? I do not believe so. I don't think there's any out. It hasn't made the tour yet. It's not good. So,
just sorry, I've got to do this because I've got to be that guy.
So,
just 1 second. I'm going to share my screen just because I've got to be that guy. Because,
yeah.
Well, yeah, because I'm right and I love stats. And right there, 10th. Springfield. Bam. You see that, Chris? Is that showing up? 10th.
Whoop. My bad.
10th. Springfield.
Yep. 81533521110-4. Sheesh. It's gross.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, thanks, Matthew.
Hagrid, how are you? Good to see you. He is, and that is true. Hey, well, we'll be back on the plan here for sure next week. If not on Thursday, we'll decide about that. And as usual, come in with anything you got.
That was R2. Anyway, peace out, guys. See you. I will try and figure out something for Thursday. Although you all come to watch Chris anyway, so I probably won't have many people.
Whatever.
Take it easy.
All right. Until next time, please support the sponsors that support us: Storm, Rotogrip, 900 Global, Coolwick, Bowlers Mart, Fire Lake Mowing Center, Lightning Strikes, and Platinum Ford. Join us next time and look for that new duo review coming up in about 10 days, I believe. So until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. God bless.
See you later, guys. Thanks for coming out.